Hi, this is Colin here at Muse Dragon Media. In this video tutorial, I'm going to walk you through some of what I consider best practices or kind of a checklist of things to do immediately after you get WordPress installed. If you need a little help getting started to getting to this point where we're starting in the video, you may want to go back and look at our video on how to install WordPress on your hosting account, and that'll catch you up to speed to where we're starting here. So from here, as you can see, we are logged into our dashboard in WordPress. For me, the first thing you want to do immediately after you install WordPress is you want to go into the user's account, and I have already deleted or changed this, but you want to go into your admin user account username and edit it, and you will need to change the nickname because it will default to your admin password or admin username that you used when you created or did your install of WordPress. You want to immediately change this to a nickname and then make sure and select display publicly as and change this to the nickname. The reason for that is because if you leave this as your admin username, then anyone on the internet can easily find your username, which is just makes it that much easier to brute force attack or other ways of hacking into your WordPress account, WordPress website. So immediately what you want to do is just change this nickname from your admin username to something else, just whatever you would like to display or have to be visible public, and make sure and change this to display name publicly as, and then you're going to go down and update your profile. So that's step one. The next step was going to be to go to your posts, and by default, when WordPress is installed, you have the classic Hello World post, and again, for the same reason, sometimes this is going to have carryover with your default. It's going to show your original admin username, so I recommend just deleting that. You don't need it. It's just for show, just for filler, and we're going to trash it. We want to just get rid of it and have it be gone forever. Delete it permanently. And it's the same thing with your pages. You've got a privacy policy, and that's fine. By default, WordPress is going to create a sample page for you. Again, same thing. What we're going to do is we're going to want to just go in. We're going to just delete that, and we are going to go to the trash, and we're going to delete that permanently as well. Now, we do want to go ahead and create us a home page, and we're going to publish that. And we'll go back to the dashboard, and now we've got a home page, and that's going to be our new home page that we'll eventually start working on. Then kind of the next thing you want to go ahead and do is go ahead and we're going to go to settings. We'll go to general. Actually, I'm sorry. I want to go ahead and go to let's go to writing, and let's go to reading. There we go. And we can go ahead and your home page displays as, and we're going to do a static page, and where we just created our home page, we're going to select home, save, and now that's going to be the default home page, so that when you go to our website, it's going to show our home page by default. In discussion, go ahead and you want to remove some of these allow comments. You don't really want to, unless you do set up your website and want to have people be able to comment, which is a controversial issue today. You may or may not want to do that, but for now, I would just recommend going through and removing most of these check boxes. We want to and actually have that where it has to be approved manually. Lots of bots can go through and try to spam your website and add comments and add links, malicious links to them, and it's best for a security standpoint just to remove most of the ability for any web bots to be able to come along and add some comments to any of your posts. Sometimes they can find places that you didn't realize even existed on your website. So we're going to change that, remove most of the ability to add any comments. And Also, we want to go to Permalinks. Just make sure that you do come to your settings and go to post name, because for your web pages, you're going to want to have them be named your actual title of your page. So by default, WordPress tends to make it have day and name, so you're going to have your folders, and when you go to a web page, it's going to show a date and a folder, and that's just kind of clumsy and messy, and it's just a lot prettier if you go ahead and just change it to your post name, save that. And let's see, what else am I wanting to do? Reading. Oh, there we go. And just also one last thing, when you're getting your website started, just make sure sometimes on your installs, this may be checked, this discourage search engines from indexing the site. Just make sure that's unchecked, because that way it's going to help your website get found a little bit faster. And sometimes if you do check it while you're in production or still building your website, if you forget, sometimes it can affect how fast you start being found on Google. So just make sure it doesn't really, some people don't really think it has that much bearing one way or the other, but in general, just make sure it's unchecked. And in our case, it's not checked by default. So just double check that before you move on. Let's see. All right, now for the fun stuff. Now, what I also do recommend, because WordPress is so popular, 40% of the websites in the world in 2021 are built on WordPress, and the reasons for that is because it makes it easy for people to create their own website without being a coder. But the things that make WordPress so popular are also the reasons that it makes it a good target to be hacked. Because so many people are out there building websites with WordPress, there's lots and lots of people out there trying to hack into them. So security with WordPress websites, to me, is definitely something you should make as a priority. So one of the things we're going to do is go into our hosting account, and we're going to go to our cPanel, and we're going to do what's called hardening our WordPress install. We're going to go to File Manager, we're going to go to Public HTML, and this is where everything hangs out. We're going to go to Settings, I'm going to click Show Hidden Files, and we're going to edit what's called our htaccess file, which basically is what gives our server a lot of instructions behind the scenes. This isn't accessible to the public, but it just makes it's how we can edit how our server responds to certain requests on the internet. At the end of the day, the bottom line is we want to go edit this. And I have actually already added several things here to my htaccess file. In this case, one of the first things you want to make sure and enter is make an entry for to remove indexing. This is just a rule that you want to put in place that prevents bots or anyone on the internet from being able to just browse through your website and find files. Things people can go looking for files on your website, and they might be able to just search things that that you don't really intend for them to have public. It's just good practice to go ahead and add no indexing. That's what this command means. Also, this is a piece of code that's just going to tell your server it's going to automatically by default prevent what's called cross-site scripting, which is basically just a very common way of malicious actors trying to inject code into your website that can be then turn around and install malicious files on anyone that comes and visits your website, which you don't want to happen. It may not affect you directly, but ultimately it will reduce the reputation of your website, and then Google finds out, and you just don't want that happening. That's not going to be good. The other rule that I like to add, make sure that we add, is for redirect for get author. And what this is kind of a neat little thing that is a tool that people use in the past. It's luckily not as common because a lot of plugins are helping people add this into their WordPress installs without them having to go in and actually edit the htaccess, but I like to do it again by default as best practices. What this is basically, and I haven't actually found an example here recently of a WordPress website. What we're going to do is let's go to a website. And so what happens, and this is also why I was trying to change the user names at the very beginning, because what can happen is you do what's called a request, PHP request, and all we have to do is enter this little string after your website name and do enter question mark author equals 1, and that's going to look for an author in your website. And we hit enter on this website, and what you'll see is what I talked about in the first video. Please do not do this. This is showing me right here the author of this website, which this is actually their username. And as you can see, there is their username. It is admin. So if I really wanted to, I could pull out some my Linux box, and I could do a brute force attack on this website, and someone could probably hack this website pretty easily, based on the fact also that they have admin as their username. Security doesn't seem to be a priority on this website, but it's with that simple little command, simple little URL, I just discovered this website's admin username. So there it is, and which is the default for WordPress. But with anyone, you can find their admin username if they have not protected it with various means, such as with this redirect rule. With this redirect rule for get author, what's going to happen is it's going to say it's going to give me an access denied if I try to enter that same URL on any of my websites, or a lot of other websites across the internet that are have WordPress installed. You won't be able to use that little trick. So we're blocking that with get author. Also, same thing. This is basically just, again, a different tool to block trying to discover your admin username. Also blocking your WP config file, and you can just look at this and copy and paste all these rules, that you can find them anywhere you want. I have a redirect rule, but that's basically, in a nutshell, you want to I have this file here where I have my template of all the rules that I like to add to my htaccess file, and those are things you can all Google for rules to put in your htaccess file. But bottom line is, I would recommend going in and hardening your WordPress website to prevent a lot of common hacks that can occur, and you can just prevent those if you go in and edit your htaccess file. I actually need to go back and change this back to hide it again. Okay. And the next step is going to be, after we did all that, and we can go ahead and delete Hello Dolly. Next step is going to be, let's get our website even more secure by installing a security plugin. I happen to like WordFence. That's my go-to. There's quite a few out there. This one is a very popular one. You can see there's over 4 million active installations. It's a good one. I like it. I've been using it for several years, and I just think it's a good one and fairly easy to use. And once we install, we can just hit activate, and I will do, let's see. And I'm going to skip this for now, although I do have the premium version on several websites, and it's great. But for now, we're going to just say no thanks. Now we can go to WordFence. You'll see over here on the side, this is where WordFence is at. We can go to our dashboard. And it walks you through everything you need to know. A little introduction to the WordFence dashboard, easily monitor, and we've got it. And we definitely want to enable auto update. And this is going to actually go in and add some additional configurations to my htaccess file that we just mentioned. We'll click here to configure. You want to go ahead and get this done. We'll download the htaccess. This is just downloading my current htaccess file. I will put that, I'm going to leave it here for now. And then we're going to continue. And we are good. And what has happened is that I actually did go in and edit some configuration in my htaccess file to add some extra things. Now you can go back to WordFence, and on your login security you can go ahead and do two-factor authentication, which I actually would highly recommend. It's just one more way to prevent your website getting hacked. You can use various authentication tools. I like to use Authy personally. Google Authenticator is the most common one. Authy is very popular, and it has a lot of extra perks to it that I really like. I actually recommend Authy. Pretty much anything that works with Google Authenticator will also work with Authy, and there it is actually right here. That's the best tool, I believe, because it has a lot of backup features and an ability to you have several options as well. Really like Authy. That's what I'd recommend using for two-factor authentication. Back to dashboard. And oh, there we go. And we want to manage our firewall. We want to go ahead and in our brute force protection, we're going to lock out. I like to just set it to 30. I'm not supposed to forget my password 20 times. Count over for you. Lock out invalid usernames immediately. And when we do that, now we have prevented brute force attacks on our website. And again, that's if someone actually still guesses after everything, was able to still guess your username. They can only try to enter passwords a few times, the 3 times, and they get locked out, and then they're shut out for 4 hours, which makes it very difficult for automated systems to really you're not a real high value target at that point, and they'll tend to just move on to something easier like the website we just looked at. So that's just a few things that I like to do when it was as soon as you get a WordPress install done. Then you're ready to get started on actually building your website. I hope some of this was a little bit helpful, and if you have any other questions, you can shoot me an email, call in at musedragonmedia.com. I'd be happy to hear from you. Thank you much.